Hi friends, my name is Sterling Hart and this is Dreamlight, where we work on dream interpretation and using the insights in the waking life. What do spiders mean in dreams? We will examine some basic themes: the web, being sucked dry, poison, manipulation of the victim, eating the mate, carrying young, jumping, egg sacs, and fear. Then we'll look at subliminal dreams, which are usually dealing with the lower emotional forces. The spider's web is such a unique creation in nature. Its beauty and strength, sometimes visible only when the light touches it just at the right angle, or when the dew is captured on its threads, is inspiring. But there is a darker side to this. The web is a trap. Spiders sense their victims by feeling the threads. So it is this image of a trap we have set or entered. Some part of ourselves feels those connections. Often this is a symbol of desire. We have some desire influencing us, and we are attempting to create a situation where we get what we want. The desire itself touches many areas of our lives and controls it and guides our intent. We can also be trapped in a web someone else has made. When we want something, we imagine it and then try to find ways to get it. These ways can be things we do, things we continue to think about, imagine, or both. These desires and the imagination and actions can appear as webs, connected to many places, or be implied by the spider in the dream. Fear can do the same thing as it dominates our imagination. Fear and desire feeds our imagination, and we look this way and that. It is part of the mythic quality of the symbol of spiders as being creative. My friend dreamed of walking down a road he didn't know and seeing a spider spinning a web. It connected a small house to a church-like building, but they looked like models you might find in a model train setup. He heard a woman talking in the background and saw a spider looking at him. It only had 2 eyes. On questioning, he associated the walking with something he did in the past. He used to live in a smaller city and walk all the time, but he had moved and gotten a car and now drove everywhere. The road didn't seem familiar in the dream, and it didn't look like anything he recognized. This brought up a memory of walking with a woman he had recently met. They were part of a group that met in a church that he attended. They shared a common interest in setting up a project to distribute leftover food from restaurants to a food bank or someplace where people in need could use it. The conversation stood out because he got a bad vibe from the woman and later figured out that she didn't trust him and told her friends that she didn't. He started being treated differently by people in the church group. He ended up leaving that church. Later, a friend from the group told him that the woman was mentally ill and had probably been abused and had been caught making false accusations about someone. She lied all the time. He thought she wanted to control everything through her stories. He said he was probably lucky because he was alone with her and she could have made up some accusation. When he thought about it, this led to another memory of a friend of his brother who had been killed in a motorcycle accident involving a train. The dreamer had been very young at the time, but the story was told all over the school. He had heard different versions of what happened, who found the body, the condition the body was in, that it was an accident, that it was a crime, and it was the first time he had realized in his young life that he couldn't just accept what he was being told. This made sense from a work situation. There was a woman who had been interested in him, a co-worker. She had contrived several situations to work with him, and he wasn't interested in her, but he realized he was afraid of being caught in some web of lies or the people around him and being manipulated. He associated the model buildings with not being real. The dream has this weaving the web, this creative form. Are you currently orchestrating something? Are people around you weaving, creating situations you will get caught up in? Sometimes you will see the spider presented as a spirit animal or a being representing feminine creative powers, and this may be in your personal associations. Still, you want to find this through inquiry rather than reading that into the dream as your starting point. A creative spiritual animal will take you into a different set of ideas and be expanding. It will lead you away from the dream. However, if you examine the associations, you will see the underlying psychological forces at play, leading you to the mythic connection. Jealousy, anger, betrayal, meanness, being demeaned, disrespected, lied to, are all toxic emotions, toxic dramas. These can turn up in dreams reflecting your situations or the effects of past traumas. We often suffer moments in life where our esteem is attacked or something we enjoy is turned into a harmful situation that we have to get through. This can be like a poison. It can cause pain. We can feel paralyzed and unable to do anything. A friend had a dream where she opened the door to a basement, and as she stepped down, she felt something sticking to her legs. She turned around to go back up and could feel it on her back and hair. She tried to pull it off, but felt more and more tangled. Then she woke up. She said it sounded like a nightmare, but she felt no fear on waking or being in the dream. She thought the sticky substance was a spider web, a big one, like Shelob in The Lord of the Rings. She worked with it and thought that it represented work where she had to make budget cuts. As she examined the problem, she was aware that she kept getting deeper into issues within the department, and there was apprehension about the people who worked in it. When questioned about it, the Lord of the Rings reference, she said that when she was given that task, her first thought was that she was being set up and would be the villain. She was being led into a trap. She thought it was more realistic that her boss was working on getting new business and couldn't do both jobs, so it made sense that she did the review. Some spiders don't spin webs and are more mobile, like wolf spiders or tarantulas. Some, like jumping spiders, use their silk differently, such as a tether or to build shelters or egg sacs. In dreams, you may encounter mobile spiders, indicating fear or suggesting that they can attack you. Many spiders or an egg sac can represent being overwhelmed. Spider victims are an image not only of being trapped, but sometimes of being wrapped in spider silk. It can be an image of being paralyzed, still alive, waiting and then having the life sucked out of you. Part of the fear of spiders is the idea of poison, something that kills or renders you helpless. Is there something that is draining you? Are you trapped in a situation? Is there a job or a relationship that has you stuck in place? Where do you feel drained or unable to express yourself? Cobwebs are a staple for Halloween in haunted houses, but they can also represent holding dust, of being in an old, stagnant place, a place where the energy is stale and the life is gone or has been sucked out, old connections that are no longer meaningful. There are other associations with webs, such as the World Wide Web, the web of life, the web of lies. The notion is of many parts being connected. If you heard it on a grapevine, the idea is of a network, and the spiderweb can also represent that kind of connection. In subliminal dreams, there can be shamanistic-type symbols that link you to forces of the natural worlds of plants and animals, weather, the seasons, and the subtle elements and their cycles. These can also appear because of our beliefs and cultural symbols. They can also occur as emotional elements that are acting on you. I had a subliminal dream that was a premonition of the events of that day. I had a dream where I was in a house and knew there was some drug stash. I had to find it, or something terrible would happen to someone I knew. At one point, I wondered whether it was a hidden weapon. As I entered the house, I started searching and found a dresser, and when I opened it, spiders began pouring out. The spiders were very vivid. That day I helped my friends, a couple that was living together. They were moving from a rented house to a different one on the other side of town, not very far. They had a large station wagon, and I came over to give them a hand. The house lacked air conditioning and was very hot and humid that day. It turned out they had a lot of stuff, including books which had been packed in large, heavy boxes, and even more stuff that needed packing. When I arrived, they told me they had to be out by the end of the afternoon as the landlord was coming by with the new tenant. So it was this very hurried move. As I helped them, they were arguing about their stuff, and I got the impression that they were hiding things from each other as they packed the remaining items. There was a feeling of being overwhelmed and drained, not so much by the work, but by the couple's bickering. This made sense of the spiders pouring out of the drawer. I was worried that something would be exposed that would have brought out some emotional crisis. I thought there might be drugs, money, or something hidden from their partner. The dresser seemed related to stuffing the girlfriend's privates into a big trash bag of clothes and tossing it down the stairs. If you got something out of this video, please hit the like. If you want more dreams, subscribe or support the channel on Patreon with the link below. Till next time.